Good day and welcome to Frontline News. I'm Cody-Ann Barrett. Coming up in the newscast, the mining minister lashes back at opposition over the Windalco fallout. Burnt body found in car in St. Anne. In the region, Uber halts operations in Trinidad and Tobago. And further afield, Russian journalist who faked his own death turns up at a press conference in the Ukraine. Now for the news in detail.
When a young child raised an alarm, the damage was already done. One house caught fire and 6 other homes became a part of the chaos. Residents say they were outdoors when the fire was brought to their attention. They rushed to discover their homes are almost gone. Among the buildings were a cook shop and a bar. Rosemary Forbes, the owner of the cook shop, claims the fire brigade did not show up fast enough.
We just sit here at cell and we smell smoke. And I said, no, once the smell smoke, we have to move. Take up my phone, call fire brigade, and when they did come, the fire already catch next door. Before the water even run to the hose, I keep telling them, put it in the yard, because the yard, them join together. Nobody listened to me until the back room catch and then everywhere.
Cynthia Fritz, a victim of the fire, expressed what happened and believes the fire might have been deliberately started.
The fire started?
Out here, I sell right outside at the front here, so. And a little picnic just come from school and run out and say, Mummy, fire. When I come in, I just see everywhere blaze. Couldn't save nothing. My grandson said I'm going to light the place afire.
Why though? What was the argument about?
Just come on a war. Say more Roman. I'm going to light the place afire.
Residents say this is the second fire to have affected them.
This stress at the second time now, you know. Second fire is now, you know, we are going to get, you know. I lose everything. My baby lose everything. My mother, my brother lose everything. My cousin lose everything.
No one was inside the houses at the time of the fire and no injuries were reported. Michael Sharp, Frontline News.
The burnt-out remains of what used to be their homes. With nothing to salvage, the residents are hoping that help will come and come soon. Some are traumatized at what, for them, is a life-changing event. A sister of one of the victims tells us how they are coping.
Why? If tell her the honest truth, it come like she want to kill herself right now because she distressed, she lost everything, she don't know what she gonna do. And me have to cook look food and get her this morning, look at ackee and saltfish and dumpling, and send her 2 kids them go to school.
Another victim, who gives her name only as Letitia, says she slept in a shop overnight with 15 others and is crying out for help.
We are upon the everybody for step in. Can you see what happened? Look on the disaster we take away. Come on, man, you have to do something for we. Desmond, Mackenzie, Andrew Owens, wanna step out, wanna step in at this now. Wanna see what happened to you. We not nobody for rely upon, but you have to do something for we. Look on the condition of the yard. Everything, every single thing. We not save nothing, no pot, no spoon, nothing, everything. But I'm Philippine them. What we are gonna do now?
Ripton Morrison, another victim, says persons have visited the area and have taken names. He recounts his losses.
I lost over 30,000 water values and plus appliance and whatever.
And, like the mythical phoenix, they hope to rise from the ashes, but only with the quick help of the authorities. Sasha-Lee Hamilton, Frontline News.
Mining Minister Robert Montague has charged the opposition with wanting to gain, quote, political one-upmanship with the sensitive bauxite industry. He was responding to the charge by the opposition that government was silent on the fallout at Windalco, which is 93% owned by the Russian company UC Rusal. More in this report from Michael Sharp.
Describing as shameful the opposition's approach, the mining minister gave the government's take on protecting the 1,000 jobs.
We have established a task force comprising the Ministry of Mining, Finance, Foreign Affairs, the AG's chambers, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute and others. This task force is looking at all options and possibilities. We are consulting with the US government, the Russian embassy and the UC Rusal. We will update the country more fulsomely very soon. Discussions, Mr. Speaker, are at a delicate stage. We are aware of some of the challenges, but we cannot yet show our full hand. We have also moved to protect the interests of our citizens and their assets.
On the issue of the revocation of the license for mining in St. Ann, the minister kept the information close to his chest, but did not hold back on his criticism.
Mr. Speaker's statement is coming soon. We seek everyone's patience as we work through the issues. We do not wish to be premature with our actions. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that calls for maturity and patience. We have invited the opposition, and I'm surprised at some of the statements that have come forward from the spokesperson. He is well aware of all the facts. He is aware of what we are doing. We are hiding nothing from him, but to seek to gain political one-upmanship on this delicate matter is shameful.
Mr. Montague told the House that an agreement with a bauxite partner that resulted in the delay of payment of $3 million is now ready to be signed.
I am pleased to announce that the agreement is now ready to be signed, and contact has been made with our partners for them to make themselves available to sign the agreement so that the funds can be released to the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
Michael Sharp, Frontline News.
The burnt remains of an unidentified body was discovered in St. Ann Monday morning. Now St. Ann detectives will have to wait on forensic results to determine its identity. More from Kimberly Wright.
The body that was burnt beyond recognition, based on preliminary checks, could be that of an employee of a major media house. Reports are that last Thursday around 5 p.m., residents of Orange Park in the parish alerted the police to a loud explosion in the area. When the police arrived, the area was searched and no vehicle or body was found. However, Monday morning, following several leads, the police found a gray Nissan Tida motorcar completely burnt out. The burnt remains of the body was found in the trunk. The police have reported that the car was rented, and when it was not returned on the agreed date, after 4 days, a report was made to them. Kimberly Wright, Frontline News.
26-year-old Andre Budden of Hill 60 in Duncan's Trelawney was shot and killed in Falmouth Tuesday night. It's reported that Budden was among a group of patrons at a shop on Newton Street when around 8:10 p.m. a car drove up and 2 men exited and opened fire. Budden was shot multiple times and another person was also injured during the incident. He was taken to the Falmouth Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Islamic terrorist group ISIS is virtually dismantled, but a warning has been sounded for Caribbean nations to be on the lookout for members of that and other radical organizations moving in to regroup or expand. The warning came from the Assistant Director for the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security, Earl Harris. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 19th Annual Caribbean Community CARICOM Chiefs of Immigration and Comptrollers of Customs Seminar at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in St. Andrew on Tuesday. He reported that officials within CARICOM had been helping to clamp down on transnational criminal activities in the region. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce JCC is accusing the Andrew Holness-led administration of introducing new taxes despite other declarations made. JCC President Lawrence Watson says the taxes are unbearable. More from Janae Williams.
The JCC says the taxes have been introduced through the newly formed Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority. Taxes have been applied to pimento, cocoa, coffee, coconut, ginger and turmeric. JCC President Lawrence Watson believes the taxes are unreasonably high, especially since these ingredients are added to many goods.
This JACRA commodity organization is a merger of a number of other organizations. And the truth is it has to be self-generating. But what has been proposed, apart from a number of the taxes being very high and additional taxes, the system that has been put in place is really not workable.
The JCC says many questions remain regarding the variance in the taxes to be applied and how they will be calculated. In the meantime, Mr. Watson is calling on the Prime Minister to put a hold on the implementation and develop another solution.
So we are calling on the Minister to review the system, put a hold on it, and have consultations with all stakeholders to come up with a system that is in fact workable.
Janae Williams for Frontline News.
Britain's Home Office has revealed it has managed to contact only 3 of around 60 people who may have been wrongly deported as part of what is now being referred to as the Windrush scandal. This follows an intense search which began weeks ago. A thorough search has been conducted through more than 8,000 records dating back to 2002 to find cases of Commonwealth citizens who may have been forced to leave for failing to provide the right documentation despite living legally in the UK for decades. And we now join Michael Sharp for the latest edition of Candid Cam.
The blue lights were flashing and the police vehicles were all in one place. Sure signs that things were not normal. It's time for a closer look. Soon it was all revealed. The police operating like paramedics, lifting an injured man into the back of the unit known as New Kingston 1. So far so good. Then another inquiry about another injured person. But still something was amiss. It just didn't add up. A motor car and a motorcycle met in an accident at the corner of Kensington Crescent and Holyoke Road. But something is missing. More about that later. Let's keep the focus on the injured man or men. The driver and the pillion rider of the missing motorcycle. Caution all around. From the injured man on his back.
Watch my foot, watch my foot,
my foot. Watch him foot, watch him foot, him foot.
Which hospital you want to go, brother? Don't touch me.
And then from the bystanders on how to make the ride to the Kingston Public Hospital.
Yo, hold on for the iron, Charlie. Hold on for there. Hold it really.
And now with the injured on the way to seek medical attention, it was time to put the pieces of the puzzle together. The motor car was turning right onto Kensington Crescent. The female driver advises that she was given the right of way by a motorist. And then, suddenly, the motorcycle undertakes and slams into her vehicle. But where is the motorcycle? As it turned out, the driver immediately took it to another location not too far away. But why would he do this? That was soon to be revealed. The police, operating on a tip, located the and then some interesting information followed. The motorcycle, now in the custody of the police, is neither licensed nor insured. In fact, the registration plates do not belong to the motorcycle. Or put another way, this motorcycle should not be on the road. One of the cops noted that there are numerous examples of motorcyclists without proper documents and headgear using our roadways on a daily basis. Not only are they a danger to themselves, but to other road users. And just before you know it, Candid Cam will show it.
May 30 marks some interesting events in our history. Here are a few. In 1955, the Jamaica Christian Council decides to enter into negotiations with the Church World Service in the United States for the supply of surplus American food for distribution to the children and poor in Jamaica. In 1957, Rohan Kenai makes his Test debut during the West Indies tour of England. He keeps wicket and opens the batting for the West Indies. In 1980, the Senate observes 1 minute of silence in tribute to the 146 persons who lost their lives in the Eventide home fire on Tuesday, May 20. Senator Pernell Charles, on the motion for adjournment, first draws attention to the fire, which he describes as a national tragedy. In 1995, early childhood education in Jamaica is given a thrust through Operation START, a campaign which is officially launched at the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston. START, an acronym for Start Teaching at the Right Time, is a collaborative effort between the Bernard Van Leer Foundation and the Ministry of Education, with input from the Teacher Education Development Department in the Faculty of Education, University of the West Indies. Financial support is provided by the European Union and the Dudley Grant Memorial Trust. And those were some of the memorable events of May 30. It's now time for a break. When we return, welcome back to Frontline News. In Trinidad and Tobago, popular transport company Uber has paused its operations, even as the government said it had been operating illegally in the first place. The California-based company said operations were paused on Wednesday, 11 days after an Uber driver was murdered in the Twin Island Republic. More in this report.
Uber driver Christopher Mohammed was found dead in St. James and his car was reportedly stolen. Mohammed's death had come after several reports of Uber drivers being robbed had been made to police. The company said after operating for more than a year in Trinidad and Tobago and having made multiple efforts to create a significant change in the country in regards to mobility and opportunities for entrepreneurship, Uber has unfortunately decided to pause its operation in the country. This decision was not made lightly, but at this time we believe that there is a lack of a proper environment for innovation and technology that thrive in Trinidad and Tobago. Uber had faced this trouble since coming into Trinidad and Tobago last year. The legality of the service became a parliamentary debate after taxi drivers challenged the app's operation in this country. The company was also forced to move away from its international practice of no cash, as the local market did not support credit cards as widely as foreign countries. The company also had a third time during the carnival season, with several FETCOers displeased with the lack of service during the season. Uber would later apologize via email to their app users.
In Guyana, the Director of Prisons, Gladwin Samuels, is praising the institution's rehabilitation program, which is designed to reduce the incidence of repeat offenders. This was based on a recent survey of inmates in the country's prisons. But Mr. Samuels says there are also other areas where the system is lacking and attention must be given in order to bring it up to international standards. More in this report.
Mr. Samuels addressing the launch of the Guyana Prison Service inmates' final report on Monday morning. According to the Director of Prisons, despite the fact that the Prison Act has been adjusted to suit the prison service's move to corrections, which will see it becoming even more compliant with the UN minimal rules for the treatment of prisoners, much success has been revealed in this report.
But despite that, the fact that we have not yet adopted that new Prison Act, we have recognized the importance of making adjustments so that the prison service and the government of Ghana will not be cited for being at a state where we are not treating prisoners humanely. It is as a result of this, several efforts are being made through the Ministry of Public Security to ensure that our infrastructure, which plays a major role in terms of providing better housing and training facilities for prisoners, are modernized.
Mr. Samuels explained that the upgrades of holding facilities and construction at prisons, such as in Mazaruni, will also help the Guyana Prison Service comply with rules of the United Nations in relation to inmates and their treatment during incarceration. Also, a case management system for prisoners and more will be pursued during the rest of this year.
We are also looking at the implementation of the rehabilitation model for the Guyana Prison Service and ways in which they can also assist in improving security across our prisons in Guyana. This is a sore point, and I'm happy that only a short while ago I read the comments of the minister, which is in keeping with exactly what is needed. The need for us to move towards technology in order to avoid some of the challenges we face on a daily basis.
He added that one aspect which authorities in Guyana need to ensure is not overlooked is the introduction of modern technology at prisons, since this will also aid in the prevention of prison officers slacking on their jobs and neglecting duties.
In Antigua and Barbuda, the sargassum seaweed has taken over some beaches. More than 100 tons of the weed have been removed from Long Bay Beach by the company, which manages a chain of hotels in the Twin Island nation. We get more in this report.
Beaches on the eastern side of the country for the past week have been plagued by the sargassum seaweed, which has proved to be a nuisance. One such beach is Long Bay, which is usually populated by guests from Pineapple Beach Resort and locals alike. Since Monday, beachgoers had to endure the sight that marred the white sandy beaches, which workers have been trying to rectify for 2 days now. Development manager for Elite Island Resorts, Brian Dornellis, said